Hey everyone, welcome back. Marshals just delivered one of the most emotional and action-packed episodes of the season. And honestly, episode May 11th have completely changed the direction of the entire series. With the finale getting closer and closer, the stakes are now higher than ever. Secrets are finally coming out, old wounds are reopening, relationships are changing, and some characters may never recover from what just happened. Before we jump into all the theories for episode 12, let's first break down the biggest moment from episode 11, because there were a lot of hidden details that could become extremely important moving forward. The biggest reveal of the episode was without a doubt the truth about Roner's death. This mystery has been hanging over the story since the very beginning, and now we finally know what really happened during that operation in Afghanistan back in 2015. The flashbacks were intense, emotional, and honestly heartbreaking to watch. We saw Casey, Calvin, Garrett, and Roner working together during a dangerous mission when everything suddenly went wrong. During the operation, Roner became separated from the team. Communication was falling apart. The situation was getting worse by the second, and the team believed Roner had already died. Because of that, the decision was made to pull out and leave the operation zone. For years, everyone believed Calvin was responsible for making that call. And because of that, Calvin carried the guilt and blame for Roner's death the entire time. But episode 11 completely changed everything. The shocking truth was that Garrett was actually the one who convinced Calvin that Roner was dead. Garrett believed there was no way Roner could survive, and he pushed Calvin to retreat with the team before more soldiers were killed. Calvin listened to him, but after learning the truth, he realized Roner had still been alive for some time after they left. That detail changes everything emotionally. Roner didn't die instantly. He fought to survive. He kept trying to stay alive while waiting for his brothers to come back for him. But they never returned. And eventually, he died alone. That realization destroyed Calvin emotionally, and honestly, it hit viewers just as hard. Even though Roner only appeared briefly in the episode, his death suddenly became one of the saddest moments in the entire series. What makes Calvin's story even more tragic is the fact that he protected Garrett all these years. Calvin allowed everyone to blame him because he knew Garrett already hated himself for what happened. He didn't want Garrett's mental state to get worse, so he silently carried the burden alone. That moment completely changed how many fans see Calvin's character. Instead of being selfish or careless, he turned out to be incredibly loyal and selfless. At the same time, episode 11 also focused heavily on the growing tension surrounding the Dutton family legacy. Neil's conversations throughout the episode made one thing very clear. Many people believe the Duttons caused more pain than healing in Montana. And honestly, Casey himself seems to believe that too. When Casey referred to everything as his family's sins, it showed how deeply he's struggling with guilt and responsibility. That emotional conflict became even more important once Calvin finally forgave Casey. After Casey risked his life to save Calvin, old memories started resurfacing. Calvin stopped seeing Casey as part of the Dutton legacy and started seeing him as his brother again. In one of the most emotional scenes of the episode, Calvin decided to let go of his anger and leave the past behind. But just when things finally seemed to improve between them, the episode hit us with another devastating loss. Garrett died. Even though the surgery itself was successful, the damage to his lungs was simply too severe. Garrett passed away before Calvin had the chance to speak to him one last time. And Andrea also lost him before she could properly say goodbye. That death is absolutely going to have major consequences moving forward because Garrett was emotionally connected to multiple characters. For Calvin, Garrett's death means losing the last remaining piece of his military past. For Andrea, it means losing someone she was just beginning to build a future with. And for Casey, it likely means carrying even more emotional guilt. Now, moving into episode 12, things look even more dangerous. The title of the episode is The Devil at Home, and honestly, that title alone sounds terrifying. According to the synopsis, the Marshals will uncover a drug cartel targeting the Broken Rock Reservation while trying to locate Miles after he goes rogue during a dangerous mission involving human traffickers. And from everything we saw in the promo, it looks like episode 12 is going to be one of the most action-heavy episodes of the season. Miles appears to be at the center of the story this time. In episode 11, we already saw how important he became during the fight against the mining project. His meeting with the senator through Thomas showed that Miles is no longer just a supporting character. He's becoming a major player in protecting Broken Rock. But unfortunately, that also puts him directly in danger. I think the episode may begin with one of Miles's friends dying from a drug overdose connected to the cartel. That would explain why Miles becomes so emotionally invested in the case. And once human trafficking becomes involved, things will get even more personal for him. We already know how strongly Miles reacts whenever innocent girls are targeted. He hates traffickers more than anything, and because of that, he may ignore orders and go after them alone. That decision could place him in an extremely dangerous situation. Honestly, I think Miles is about to make the same mistake Casey often makes, trying to carry everything alone. But if there's one thing we know about Casey and MO, it's that they protect their people no matter what. I fully expect both of them to step in before Miles gets himself killed. And if they successfully take down both the cartel and the trafficking operation, it could become the final push needed to permanently stop the mining project at Broken Rock. Now let's talk about the relationship drama, because episode 12 is definitely setting up something major between Andrea and Casey. To be honest, Andrea and Garrett's relationship always felt a little rushed. Their connection developed quickly, and now Garrett's sudden death changes everything. Grief often brings people closer together, and I think that's exactly what's about to happen with Andrea and Casey. At first, they'll probably bond while mourning Garrett together. But over time, those emotional moments could slowly evolve into deeper feelings. Andrea's feelings for Casey have always been obvious. The real question is whether Casey is finally ready to admit his own feelings too. And honestly, the relationship between Casey and Andrea feels very similar to Casey and Monica from earlier in the story. Andrea understands Casey emotionally in a way very few people do. Because of that, I think Casey may slowly start distancing himself from Dolly and spending more time with Andrea instead. But romance may not be the only problem waiting for Casey. The train station storyline could finally explode. At the end of episode 11, Neil's body resurfacing changed everything. If the police start investigating seriously, both Casey and Calvin could end up under suspicion. And if enough evidence appears, people may even believe Casey murdered Neil himself. That could become the beginning of the biggest scandal in the entire series. For a long time, the truth about the train station has remained hidden in the shadows. But now it feels like the walls are finally closing in. And knowing Casey, his habit of acting independently may eventually destroy him. No matter how much Casey tries to do the right thing, the sins of the Dutton family continue following him everywhere. And sooner or later, he may finally be forced to pay the price for all of it. At this point, episode 12 feels like the beginning of the end for multiple characters. Some relationships may fall apart completely. Hidden truths could finally come to light, and one wrong decision could destroy everything. But what do you think? Will Andrea and Casey finally get together? Can Miles survive this dangerous mission? And will the truth about the train station finally be exposed before the season finale? Let me know your theories in the comments, because honestly, this season is becoming more intense with every single episode.